out of the Psalms. So Psalm 73, 21 through 26. And it's a little bit longer than I normally um share. Normally it's just be one, two, three lines, but this one was a little bit longer because I really like the context of this particular psalm. So Psalm 73 says, Then I realized that my heart was bitter and I was all torn up inside. I was so foolish and ignorant. I must have seemed like a senseless animal to you. Yet I still belong to you. You hold my right hand. You guide me with your counsel, leading me to a glorious destiny. Whom have I in heaven but you? I desire you more than anything on earth. My health may fail and my spirit may grow weak, but God remains the strength of my heart. He is mine forever. And today, I'm just grateful for life. I'm grateful for health and strength, and super grateful for my wife and my children and each and every one of you, my friends, and just life, just building this relationship with God. In this particular part of the scripture, um, when you read Psalm 73, it it really humanized this particular like part of the Bible for me. Like if you read into this particular verse, like it definitely gives you like the feeling that David, the psalmist, was like he's feel the same things that you feel. Like, he writes about doubt and he writes about fear. And it's like he had an internal conflict, you know? And I think that that's a pretty normal feeling. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, you know what I mean? But I know that I battle with those same emotions a lot, you know? Sometimes fear, no matter how strong I may go out into the world, feeling, or how strong I may perceive myself to be. Sometimes I have a lot of doubt, and he was um he was reminding us that, well, I wouldn't say he was reminding us. What he was doing was he was walking us through this journey of doubt with him internally. And at the end of the psalm, he sort of, just reiterates that, or like encourages believers, that like has some doubts and has some confusions as well, you know. But he was just telling us about like the importance of faith and trusting in God's ultimate justice and his goodness. Because if you read further down in this in the psalm, he speaks about um like with the wicked being blessed with stuff, and how he felt about that. And but that as the psalm progresses, he sort of tells you a little bit more about like, yeah, that's what he originally thought, but then as waited around long enough, he realized that like, they didn't really end up with anything. Like no matter what it seemed as they was blessed with, they wasn't blessed with God. And it's just a really good part of the scripture to give you that reminder. And what the excerpt that I ended with, is a good reminder for me. And it's something that I when I read it last night and I saved this particular verse, it was something that I looked at and I said, that's something that I can try to repeat to myself all year, you know? And that's he said, My health may fail and my spirit may grow weak, but God remains the strength of my heart. He is mine forever. And that's the thing about our relationship with God, is personal. He said he made that end of that part of the scripture very personal. He said, God is mine forever. Now he knows that God is all of our own, but he was letting us know that this personal for him. And I think that that's something that we always have to, be conscious of, is that, yes, our God is God for everybody, but it's about our relationship with him. God is yours too. He's yours, he's mine, he's all of our own. But it depends on how we build that relationship with him, you know. It's how we develop this internal feeling towards God that leads and propels our faith toward him. Because he says it, he says, My health may fail and my spirit may grow weak. Like meaning that like I could be going through some things, I could be life could be life for me right now, you know, but God would still remain the strength of my heart and he is yours forever. So just keep that particular scripture in mind as you guys go throughout this day. And for those facing any sort of trouble or anything, that's another good part of the scripture to repeat to yourself. So thank you again for the opportunity to speak. I'm Carrie, and I pass the mic back to the moderator.